Hi, and welcome to In-Store Designer. I'm Eric Meeks, and we're standing outside Craig OLSEN in Los Angeles' Furniture Quarter on La Brea Avenue. Let's go meet Craig and find out what's in store. Craig, thanks for being here today.
Well, it was so nice to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you. So what is the most challenging part of running a design business in Los Angeles?
Probably I am the most challenging part, actually.
Okay.
Because I'm everywhere. I'm so, like, running this store, I have so many ideas, and sometimes I get ahead of myself, and sometimes I get in my own way. So I think I'm the biggest challenge here in this store.
So what would you say to somebody else that's an aspiring designer that wants to follow in your kind of footsteps, open their own design store, their own design showroom?
Know that you may have some of the greatest ideas in the whole world, but also in a interior design business which is open to the public, it has to be something that the public will buy. So.
Okay, so you know, as much as you're passionate as it still has to be commercially viable.
It has to be sellable. Absolutely, right. Your look has to be sellable.
Okay. In any way in your designs do you incorporate sustainability?
I like to use products that are green. I also like to use products that are recycled in some way, if I can, if it's available. Luckily, there's so many resources available to us now with different vendors and different companies that use those kind of products, so right. It's becoming so much easier.
Well, I think lighting is a challenge for everybody in interior design. I think it's probably one of the most overlooked pieces of interior design, especially. So what would you say to people that are trying to put together a space? What have you learned about design that you could sort of pass on to somebody else about, you know, making your space better through lighting?
Lighting is so important. If you're just going to have overhead canned lightings, you're going to look old. If you're going to have, you know, I tell this to people, they're like, oh, I don't need a chandelier because I've got these overhead, you know, halogen canned lighting. Yeah, right. Oh, great. Well, I can't wait to come to your dinner so I can sit right under one of those lights and look old. So, sure. Lighting, side lighting throughout the space is really important in every single design I do. You've got, yeah, canned lighting's great. It's perfect. I love it. But you got to also highlight the artwork. You also got to highlight the corners and the moments. Lighting is so important to any design plan. So it's sort of like putting these lights in layers. You're going to have your overhead lighting. You've got to light the people. You have to light the design as well. Absolutely. So, I mean, it's definitely probably one of the most functional parts. And also, you know, when doing lighting too, I'm very, you know, this is where I'm not so green. I hate that lighting, that corkscrew lighting. Fluorescent. The compact fluorescent, because they have not perfected. I'm all on board with it. They haven't perfected it. It looks great in office buildings, but I think for your home, it distorts the fabric, and it makes everybody look like they have jaundice. I always tell people, just buy a light bulb, a regular light bulb. Right. You know, I think a lot of the advances in LED technology are probably going to surpass some of these compact fluorescents. I can't wait. Yeah, absolutely, because right now, I mean, you couldn't force me to put those in my home. Yeah. As green as I want to be as well. They make everything look bad. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you were looking really old with that for a second. I'm looking old. I also noticed you use patent leather, which I don't see in furniture at all. That's something I'm going through right now. It's just like one of these things. And I love the experimentation with it, and I think it actually looks really good. So this is the high-back dining chair that I was talking about that was made in patent leather. This is sort of an experiment of yours, I guess. Yeah, this is taking something very classic, a very classic shape, and then reinterpreting it into something more contemporary. You know, it's like I'm not recreating the wheel, but I like to think that here at Craig OLSEN we rediscover it. And this is just taking some chair that you would see on Madison Avenue in some Park Avenue apartment or whatever, high-rise, and just, you know, very old and stuffy, but I took it and just changed it up and made it look very contemporary. And actually, it has this is a pair, and I've done it sort of like an opposite, so that when they're side by side, it looks so chic. So, yeah, I mean, I really like this. I also love the fact that it's sort of like a dark and milk chocolate almost. It's almost like... It's like a great cup of coffee. It really is. I mean, you'd want to have coffee in this in the morning. Well, how do you feel it is to actually sit on this kind of leather all day? Is it uncomfortable to sit on leather? Probably if you were naked, but I mean, that would probably be the only reason, but who's sitting in, well, I'm not, but I mean, that would be the only reason you'd stick to it, I suppose. But this is not uncomfortable at all. I'm inspired by fashion, you know. So if I see something really hot on the runway, or if some designer comes out with something that really inspires me, then that's where I'm at. Like, for instance, this sofa over here with the pinstripe fabric, that's a Paul Smith fabric. The whole suit was designed after a man's suit. This is one of those pieces I feel for me.
Yeah, this is something that I could definitely live with. And one of the things that I noticed, this is what really gave the Paul Smith away to me, was the sort of signature ribbon here.
Absolutely.
But the other thing that I really like about it is that you didn't necessarily incorporate it into the couch. This is only in the throw pillow. So if you're a man, you can walk in here and say, I love the masculine look of this, but I'm not really
But I just can't do the rainbow stripe. Yeah.
Right, then
then those are gone, and we bring something else in. And what's great with the sofa in this charcoal gray color is you could add any color with this. Gray looks great with everything. And then, you know, tacks are really big. I love to experiment with tacks. I did this beautiful sort of bronze square. Oftentimes you see all the round chrome, which has been done to death. So I thought, I love using that element of metal, so it's almost like you got a men's suit, and these are like kind of like cufflinks.
Yeah, that's exactly what it reminded me of. Sort of like cufflinks that are almost tarnished, and that gives you that vintage look on a very nice contemporary
and this could fit in a very 60s style home. It could also fit into an ultra modern home. It can fit into a traditional home. You team it up with a fantastic leather pillow, and this is kind of like the belt and the shoe that goes with this man suit. Maybe throw in a houndstooth or a silk paisley, and you got the whole thing going on.
Okay, I know a lot of people are going to be asking about this giant pink bullhead behind me. How did this come about?
Well, this is by an artist that I collaborate with. His name is Damian Stafford. I did a show for him last year, and this was a piece that he brought to the show.
I mean, it's very striking. You walk in here, this is the first thing you notice, a giant pink bullhead. It sort of sets the tone of what Craig OLSEN is at the moment.
It is definitely one of those pieces that brings people in, and I like to put a little bit of whimsy in everything I do as well. Like, design doesn't need to be so serious.
When we talk about whimsy, one of the things that you were mentioning before is that you like oversized lamps. Now, I know the store features a lot of lamps, but two that are very specific are this one and the one behind me. Let's take a look at this lamp. This is sort of the signature Craig OLSEN.
Well, this is one of my signature pieces. This is a signature Craig OLSEN piece I designed several years ago. I just think that this lamp just has strength. It's an element of surprise. It's one of those kind of things that you can put in a high-ceilinged room. It doesn't take up a lot of space, but it has really high impact. And I love and people love this. I love, you know, you can do it in different woods. You can do it, I've made it taller for people. I've done different fabric for the shade. But then I felt like I needed something a little bit more feminine for women that are a little bit afraid of that. So I designed this piece over here, which is the sister. And this one here is in acrylic.
Okay.
And we have, you know, acrylic also made a big comeback in the last 5 years or so. You know, and thankfully it's not being done to death like it was back in the 80s.
So you just want sort of one piece like this?
I believe it's important, yeah, to have like a little bit of acrylic in the room, iron in a room, fabric in a room. I believe you have to just embody all of the different elements in a room. And then I did it with this metallic shade, this metallic see-through shade, that when the lamp is in, when the light bulb is turned on, the clear light bulb, it gives kind of a halo effect around the inside, which is that added element that just makes it look so chic. And that's what I look for in design.
So if I was to buy something like this, how do I avoid this becoming the central focal piece of the room? Or is that the whole idea?
It certainly can be, but you balance something like this out with another fabulous piece.
It's just something like a giant pink bulb?
Like a giant pink bulb, so your eye doesn't know where to land.
Okay. This must be a very popular Craig OLSEN design, right?
This is very popular. You can see this chair in the guest stores across the nation. So if you go into the guest store, they have like a little seating area, guest spots, several of these. Not in leather, they did a red and white Chinese fabric, but it looks really beautiful.
Sure, yeah, and this can be manipulated in so many different ways.
So many different ways. And then I've also done a sofa version of this, which looks very cool. I've done a curved sofa version of this for a client. Looks amazing. So people can come in and they can have an idea like, oh, I love this chair. Can I have it in a 90-foot sofa? Absolutely.
A 90-foot sofa?
I mean a 90-inch sofa.
Okay.
Did I say 90 feet? Everything's big in Craig OLSEN.
Well, Craig, thank you so much for being with us here on In-Store Designer.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you so much for coming and thinking about me.
All right, and thanks for everybody watching. We'll see you next time on In-Store Designer.